Edison wants to resume burying nuclear waste at San Onofre, but KPBS North County reporter Allison St. John says opposition is mounting, and it's not just from activists.
The San Onofre nuclear power plant, 50 miles north of downtown San Diego, is being decommissioned. The distinctive domes will eventually disappear, but the site is being turned into a nuclear waste storage site, or dump, because Congress has not found a long-term solution to the problem of what to do with high-level nuclear waste. The former head of the Navy in San Diego, retired Admiral Len Herring, is one of the voices sounding the alarm about the way Southern California Edison is going about storing spent nuclear fuel at San Onofre.
I'm an advocate for nuclear energy. I'm not a believer that it needs to disappear. But the proper handling of the material is what we are talking about here. The decommissioning of the Songs plant involves the handling and the storage of nuclear waste in a fashion that is, for all practical purposes, not being done safely for us.
We get solar wind sample. We get out the atoms from that sample.
In his lab at UCSD, scientist Subrata Chakraborty feels the same way about the iconic San Onofre site.
I have a kind of soft corner toward nuclear energy because it's one of the biggest energy source. And when I came here like 16 years ago, I saw this nice dome, and then I was fascinated about it.
But after Southern California Edison had a near-miss accident last August while moving the nuclear waste, Chakraborty agreed to work with physicist Tom English to analyze potential problems with the way the operation is being conducted. He demonstrates with a model the challenge of loading a 17-foot-tall canister loaded with 54 tons of spent fuel into the round hole of a concrete storage bunker.
The clearance between this canister and this hole is like a quarter of an inch.
Last August, a canister got stuck on an inner guide ring.
So what happened is the thing was in here like this, but it got stuck like this.
The loaded canister nearly fell 18 feet into the bottom of the hole. This crisis was narrowly averted, but English and Chakraborty point out that a Nuclear Regulatory Commission report on the near-miss accident says virtually all of the 29 canisters already loaded likely got scratched repeatedly on the way down.
Well, let's suppose they get it past the ring a little bit. Okay, then they're going to continue the process of move it down a little bit, move it a few inches here, move it there. And what's going to happen is every time you move it, this giant weight of 54 tons bangs into the canister, bangs into the ring. When it bangs in, it makes a gouge. So what we've done is we've made some calculations about how deep those gouges are.
We are in the 21st century, and the technique they are using, when the Egyptian 3,000 years ago, they use the same technique.
English and Chakraborty say scratches on the canisters open up new surfaces that are vulnerable to chemical reactions, and that could result in corrosion cracking over the long term.
It would lead to crack and cracking of the cylinder because these cylinders are not that thick. This is only 5/8 inch thick. So this is potentially a big issue.
Chakraborty says Holtec International, the company that designed the storage system, has included no sensors to detect potential damage. Edison has resisted suggestions to pull the canisters out to check them, though NRC regulations require the canisters be retrievable. At a community engagement panel meeting in November, Tom Palmisano of Southern California Edison responded to a question about the problem of leaving scratched canisters in storage.
According to per the NRC, there's damage to all the canisters. Why are you still wanting to load if the canisters are damaged already? When and how will you fix damaged canisters?
Again, I think if the damage is referring to the incidental contact that causes shallow scratching, we don't see that as an immediate issue. The scratches are shallow, well below an acceptance criteria for an acceptable scratch. The oxide layer reforms in these storage vaults. So, quite frankly, we don't have a short-term concern with that. It becomes a long-term aging management concern.
But that is exactly the problem, says Chakraborty, who notes that there's no guarantee or even likelihood the waste will be moved within the next few decades.
The problem is right now, this level here, the bottom of this cylinder, is 18 inches above the mean sea level. And now after 50 years, when the sea level rise, it is no longer a dry storage, it will be a wet storage. We have all the technology, great people, And we should do better than this.
The more I learn about what's happening and how it's being done, the more I'm fearful that we as a population are not being protected by the procedures that are in place. The aspects and efforts that are being done for what I believe now is for the sake of money is in fact putting all San Diegans at risk.
Herring is calling for a halt to the process of burying the remaining 44 canisters of spent nuclear fuel.
We need to stop, take a break, go back to square one, force the individuals to do the right study and with the right solution so that it does not put San Diego at risk.
The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has said it will not give Southern California Edison the go-ahead to resume burying the waste until after a public conference. Alison St. John, KPBS News.